Except for the part where, how do I share the audio? Does anyone have a quick tutorial for me on how to make sure I'm sharing the audio as well by chance? I may have needed to click that when I clicked share. So hang with me for 10 seconds here. Is there an also, oh yeah, share sound. Okay. Okay. We should be good. You guys can see the screen and everything. Thumbs up. I have no idea where the chat is, to be fully honest. See, this is why you're sticking with me for my free version of this workshop. I think it could be paid in the future, but my incompetency with what I'm doing here is the reason. Can someone write something in the chat so I can see if it pops up? Oh, maybe I just need to have this clicked here. It's a dress rehearsal. Okay, yeah, we're good. Chat is here. Thing is here. Okay. Social Media Bootcamp by me. Okay, thanks again for coming, guys. And I will say it again, take the pieces that resonate with you here. Not everything will necessarily apply to you, but I hope that you'll definitely take something of value, and I really think you will. I was really proud actually putting this together. So we will go ahead. Feel free to throw questions in the chat or speak aloud. I'm more than happy to have conversations as we go. So agenda today. Thought errors that are holding you back on social media, deciding Instagram, TikTok, or both, finding trending audio on Instagram in 5 minutes or less. That's one of my biggest hack for how I've had a lot of my videos go viral. 3 easy Instagram reel ideas you can take and use right away, and then gaining confidence to film and post face to camera talking videos. Yeah, really random agenda, but I basically just wanted to pull out everything I feel like I've gained an expertise in and put it into one training, which is why this agenda is a little all over the place. And you're going to see that the first half is very focused on mindset. So it's going to be less practical tips about Instagram and more like how you can get into the right headspace to succeed on Instagram. And then the second half is going to be all the practical tips. So I'm not sure what brought you to this training, but know that you're going to find both pieces. And if you were looking for more of the use this hashtag or use this certain technique, just wait for the second half because it will come. But first you will you have to make it through my mindset stuff to start this off. Okay. So going to the first part, thought errors. And I'm going to warn you, this part is kind of big, but I feel like there's some really big truth bombs in here that will support someone who needs to hear them. And not necessarily people on this training. There's also a lot of people coming for the recording. Okay. True or false? As a business operating in 2024, you should be posting on Instagram to maximize your chances of success. If you guys want to try to throw something in the chat. Should be. I also put just written must. Gisela says true. We're hearing trues. Okay. Lots of trues. It's a half true. I'm going to remove one word from here. You should be on Instagram to maximize your chances of success. And so the first thought error I see a lot of people making is this idea of I have to be posting on social media even if I don't want to. And so I want to call out that you do not have to be posting on Instagram or TikTok regularly. If you're at this training, maybe it's because you want to, but I want to just give you the permission that you don't actually have to be posting regularly, because posting on and being on social media are 2 different things. And you can actually choose to just treat social media like a website. Because as a lot of you said in the chat here, you put true, you need to be on social media. And to an extent you do. It's like how we often, for example, recommend a business to a friend. Like if you say, oh yeah, this coach is someone really great, you should work with them, I'm going to send you their Instagram profile. If you didn't have an Instagram profile, you'd be doing yourself a big disservice. But that said, you don't have to be regularly posting. And if you'd like, you can just treat social media like a website, which means, have some posts on there to create a vibe so people can kind of get a feel for who you are or what your brand stands for. You can pin important information at the top of your profile. You can add a few meaningful highlight reels. So you could have a couple of reviews posted at the top, and then you can leave it. So a good friend of mine, Riley, actually treats her social media very much like this. And I'm going to pull up some pages as we go here. So Riley runs a social media consulting business. She only has 236 followers on this account. And mind you, it's also social media consulting, but she's actually sold out. She has no capacity to take more clients right now because she is so busy. And all of her business is coming to her right now through referrals. So she's treating her page here more as like a website. People can come on and they can just get a feel for what she offers, like looking at her highlight reels here and her pin posts, which show you like what her packages and everything look like. And that's that. Oh, and it's going to keep doing this to me, is it? Okay, I'm going to present like this possibly. Actually not, sorry, this is the more technical errors. This was working before. There we go. Okay. Another example of an account doing this is Modern Millie, who also specializes in Instagram growth and has like hundreds of thousands of followers. But she found that based on like the business ROI and what Instagram was doing for her personally in terms of like her mental well-being and mental health, she chose not to be on there. So just take a second to reflect like how much time you were taking to post on Instagram. Because what I want to call out basically is that if you were to take all that time of posting, like regularly coming up with content, and instead channel that into another means of getting top of funnel leads. So a whole bunch of examples listed here, but say for example, you took all the hours you spend on Instagram and instead you just really engage with Facebook groups and try to create community through Facebook groups and find clients through Facebook groups. That could work too. And basically that same rhetoric applies to like all of the things on this list. And depending on your industry or expertise, like that could vary. So if you're in real estate, it's probably not going to be, focusing on Pinterest or Reddit, but you could just spend all of your time in-person networking. And if you spent all of that time doing that and took away all the time you're posting to social media, you could have the same result and you could still get just as many clients. So yes, you need to be on social media, but you do not need to be regularly posting. It's a business decision that you need to make for yourself. And what I'm going to tell you with this thought error is that either decide that you want to be on Instagram or just don't spend your time there. Because a thought error I see some entrepreneurs making is this idea of saying, oh, I have to be there. I have no other choice. Because the truth is that you do have a choice. And if you're just going to show up to Instagram with resentment, then you're probably not setting yourself up for success. Sorry, I'm keeping up with things. Okay. I choose to be on Instagram because I think it really supports me. Like I picked my poison. I don't think you're going to have to like absolutely love every piece of your top of funnel marketing. But for me, it's like my preferred poison. I've created an environment on Instagram that really supports me. So I follow accounts on Instagram that like are promoting great business advice or mental health advice or just things that inspire me and make me happy. So some people will go and say like, oh, Instagram's such a toxic place to be. Like you create your environment on Instagram by choosing who you follow. And even if your friends are posting things you don't want to see, you always have the option to mute accounts. So I create a really positive environment for myself there. I've been connected with amazing people on Instagram. I actually built the majority of my travel course, like the contents of it, by posting to Instagram, because I wasn't just like posting with the intent of here's a one-time post that's going out and it's done. I would like share my expertise slowly each day. And then slowly you're building up like this huge wealth of information that you can use later to package into a course or into something else of value. So that's another reason I loved posting to Instagram. And then lastly, I like it because I kind of treat it like a lottery ticket. And I think this is a really helpful mindset. So if you think about playing the lottery, you don't buy a lottery ticket and expect to win. Like AKA, you don't post a video on Instagram and expect it to go viral. Like if you play the lottery and expect it to win, that would be stupid because we know that most of the time you don't win, but you could win. So it's exciting. Like that gives me a lot of motivation to keep posting because any post could go off. I have seen people go from 400 to 3,000 followers off of one post. And so every time you show up, it's like you're playing the lottery. And I just treat that as a lot of fun. So for these reasons, it supports me. But I'm glad this is resonating with some of you in the chat. But just like notice that it's your choice to be on Instagram. It's not something you have to be on. Okay, moving on. Thought error number 2. So you can throw this in the chat again. What is the number one goal of Instagram's algorithm? Or have you even reflected on this question before? Okay, Laura says keep you there as long as possible. I'm going to suspect I might see other answers coming in around the same idea. And yes, So that is basically the answer I was looking for. In my opinion, yeah, to keep people on their app, period. So thought error number 2, the algorithm hates me. This idea of, oh, like I can't figure out the algorithm and it hates me. Like it just hates all my content. I want to call out that if this is something you're thinking regularly, you're really disempowering yourself. You're not setting yourself up for success. You are not cursed, and the algorithm is not a person who picks its favorites or whatnot. Yeah, Briar will keep you there as well. I literally Googled the definition of algorithm just to kind of make this point. A process or set of rules to be followed in calculations or other problem-solving operations, especially by a computer. So the algorithm just wants to keep people on their app, period. And it's simply going to show people content based on what people are consuming and what they find valuable. And don't think of the algorithm as this thing that can hate you or not hate you. It's just math equations. And your thoughts really create your reality. And I wanted to actually pull this up. So something I do a lot is this thing called thought work, and I learned it through Cara Lowenthal, although it's also taught through Life Coach School, and I think it's taught in a number of places. But basically what thought work says is that your thoughts create your reality, and that circumstances are simply neutral. So if we were to like quickly fill this out to give you an idea of why this thought is so disempowering, the circumstance is that like the Instagram app has an algorithm that determines how content is distributed. Circumstances are always just neutral. And so I'm going to show you how this model works in this situation, something you can use for like your entire life. So the circumstance, like the only fact we can all agree on is that the algorithm is how content is distributed. If you are believing that the algorithm hates me, basically you can just keep filling out this model to see what would happen. And if you guys want to throw in the chat, like if you're thinking to yourself, the algorithm hates me, like what feelings does that generate in your body? Like what are you going to be feeling? Laura says hopeless. Yeah, totally agree with that. Others that come to mind for me like might be frustration, like anger, even annoyed, angry. Yeah, you're throwing them in there. Perfect. So if we were to just use hopeless here for the example, if you are feeling hopeless and when thinking about Instagram, the actions that you would tend to take, I want you to think about what actions you tend to take in life when you feel hopeless about something. And you can feel free to throw some things in the chat, and I'm also going to type some out. Yeah, Bri, isolation. I agree with that too. So if you're feeling hopeless, yeah, you're just speaking about like Instagram specifically, you're probably like not going to research how to make your post better, for example. You also like might find yourself in a bad mood when on the app, which is not going to set you up in like a mindset for inspiration to strike. And so basically there's a whole bunch of negative actions you tend to take when you feel hopeless, which are going to result in your content not doing well because you're not going to, for example, actively research how to create better posts, or the long list of things that go on. And the idea of this model is that basically your result always proves your thought true. Like the last slide said, like your thoughts create your reality. And it's not just like some mystic thing. It's like you can actually prove this using a model. If you're not taking actions that are going to make your content better, then the algorithm, like the result is that the algorithm doesn't favor your content. Like it does hate you in quotation marks because you're not taking the right actions to get your content seen by more people. And give me a second, guys, because the sun is shining right in my eyes. Okay. And I feel like it's going to keep making my screen. Okay, perfect. Anyway, tell me if that model was helpful, but this quote kind of summarizes what I'm trying to say with this thought error. The most common way people give up their power is by thinking they don't have any. So believing that like you're just at the whims of the algorithm and you have no control will mean that you are at the whims of the algorithm and you have no control. It's really important to take a mindset of like, I can do something about this, and I am, yeah, like have like an empowering mindset that will allow you to do better with your social media. Okay. So let's say you have a positive mindset around social media, but your content is still not working. So we're going to move into the next thought error, which is basically like, this should be working better by now. So basically, let's say you feel pretty positive about things, but you're like, why is my content still not performing? So if this applies to you, you probably fall in one of two boats. So before I go into those two boats, I'm going to ask another question. When it comes to social media, what's more important? Is it quantity is more important than quality, or quality is more important than quantity? So just type in the chat, which is more important. Raquel says B. Okay, we're actually getting a mix of answers. Some people are saying equal. And yes, I'm kind of setting you up to not have a proper answer here. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a mean coach or teacher. But to be honest, it's kind of more like a C. Quantity is what leads to quality. You can create higher quality posts by first creating a high quantity of posts and getting better at them. So quality is for sure important, as a number of you mentioned, but you can't get to quality without hitting quantity first. And I wanted to show you like a visualization of this, which was really powerful for me the first time someone showed this to me. Actually, sorry, first I have an incoming hot take. I forgot this part was there. If you haven't created at least 100 posts and you're stressing about the right hashtags or about the right time to post, or spending more than an hour figuring out content pillars, or spending hours creating super high quality videos that aren't getting that many views, you probably need to rethink your strategy. And now I'm going to show you that visual that I was mentioning. But the idea here, and the reason I'm mentioning all this, is because this was me before I started seeing traction on my account. I was spending like 4 hours coming up with like the perfect social media strategy without actually posting to social media. Like I was just like on an Excel sheet coming up with like content ideas and figuring out, okay, on Mondays and Wednesdays, I should post about this, and Thursdays and Fridays, I should post about this. And it was really silly because at the end of the day, how much you learn by reading about something versus doing it looks a lot like this chart. And I really learned this firsthand because I spent all that time figuring out social media. And then I went and did social media and realized like all the stuff I thought I understood, I didn't really understand. And when I started practicing, as we're saying in the chat here, practice beats theory every time. That's when I really started to figure things out. So again, if you're in this mindset error or this thought error of thinking like it's not working yet, and you fall into boat number one, this is what might be happening. You haven't gotten enough reps, and you might need to work on your growth mindset here. So what this looks like, so if you have results on this axis and your time, it's not meant to be like time divided by reps, it's just meant to be like your time or number of reps on this bottom axis. What typically happens if you're in boat number one is that you believe after X number of reps, you should see things start working. And then it doesn't start working because, as you can see by this line, it stays quite flat for a while. So then frustration starts to build. And this is where most people quit. And a lot of people quit at this moment. But the point where things actually start working is over here. So if you just keep going, typically things will start to work. And a lot of people get stuck on this part of the line. And they just don't realize that as they're moving down this line, it's not just that eventually like you hit this point and suddenly the algorithm kicks in and they start to realize you are creating good content. The idea is that as you're putting in all these reps, that's actually what makes you good. Like that's how you get good, is by creating bad content first. So quantity really leads to quality. And they're both pretty important. So that is the first thing to be aware of with boat number one. And I also wanted to throw this quote in. I think it's pretty powerful, not quote, but like stat by Alex Hormozi. To be a top 1% podcaster, you only have to upload 21 podcasts. Like that is not very many. 90% of people don't go past episode 1. 9% don't go past episode 20, and 1% make it to more than 21 episodes. So yes, it's hard to stick to it up to this point, but there's also a lot of people who give up here. And quoting from the Perfectionism Project and Sam Laura Brown, someone who I get coached by, she's awesome. When it comes to success on social media, as with most things in life, consistency is the greatest barrier to entry. If you are just consistent, you are already like really setting yourself up for success. All of this said, I want to acknowledge that there's also a boat number 2 of this. It should be working by now. And that might be the case if you feel like you're over here. And I do know there's some people who might be here where it's like you have put in the reps and you are still not seeing the results. And in that case, I say this with love. It's probably not the algorithm. Your account is probably not cursed. It's probably just that your content is not good enough yet. And I am not saying that your content is not valuable. It could be that you're not presenting your content in the right way to be properly consumed on social media. And if that is the case, what I also wanted to call out is that makes sense because like most things in life, like you wouldn't expect, like as a doctor or an architect, or even if you're learning to play guitar, you wouldn't expect just be able to like practice something a bunch of times and then be really good at it. Like in some cases that can be the case in life, but oftentimes you also need to get teaching or to read a book on it or to learn strategy to it. So if you feel like you have already put in those reps and you've hit more than 100 posts and you're still not seeing action on your posts, what I would encourage you to do at that point is then to start thinking more about strategy. So basically, if you feel like I didn't really need that slide. Okay. Because the key to success on social media, it's these 3 things: positive mindset and consistency. And if you don't have those things yet, do them first. But then the third piece, and it is still really important, is strategy. And so on the note of strategy, I'm going to tell you more about it. We're going to get into the final thought error here. So thought error number 4 on Instagram that holds people back. The algorithm is too confusing. It changes too often. I don't understand Instagram strategy, this kind of thought process, right? So what I want to call out, and this is why I said this I haven't heard other people say this before, but for me, this information is game changing. 90% of people, maybe more, maybe less, I don't actually have a stat, this is made up by me, miss one of the easiest sources of information to improve the type of content they're putting on Instagram. So my biggest hack for my strategy is that you just study yourself. I study myself. Because like we said before, we all agreed to this, like the Instagram algorithm just wants to keep people on their app as long as possible. And I think we really overcomplicate it, like listening to all these Instagram gurus who are like, oh, now it's like you have to make longer videos or shorter videos or this or that. Like, yeah, maybe if you're a social media strategist, you should be listening to that stuff. Or if you have like thousands and thousands of followers and you're trying to keep up with trends and like your account's like a really big part of your life, maybe you should listen to that stuff. But I think for the most part, we overcomplicate strategy because for the most part, all you need to know is that Instagram wants to keep people on their app as long as possible. So your content needs to just keep people on the app, and that's it. It just needs to provide some kind of value. And the easiest way to think about like what provides value in a consumable way on Instagram is to think about the content you're consuming for yourself. And I wrote for joy. So don't just like pull up a bunch of people in your niche and start comparing yourself. Like I believe in the quote, comparison is the thief of joy. And if you're starting to just look at people in your niche and trying to like replicate things, it can create a lot of like negative feelings because then you're comparing yourself and everyone's on their own journey and everything that all applies. So instead, look at the kind of content that you consume like for fun. Like what do you tend to read about, whether it's investing or whether it's personal development content, or maybe you really care about like salsa dance and that's something you're consuming content on, like whatever the topic may be. Focus less on pleasing the algorithm and focus more on like what's happening in your world. So less about your niche. And so here are questions that can help you creating valuable content. So think about what kind of videos are you sharing with friends? And you don't have to like think about it. Like you can actually go check, like go look at the last 5 videos you shared to a friend and look at the video. Like how was it shared? How was it formatted? Was the person talking to the camera? Was there just text on the screen? Like take a look. And this is going to repeat kind of, but what kind of videos are you sharing to your story? And why did you share them? Like what made them valuable? And was it a talking video? Was it text on screen? Did the text pop up? How was it formatted? This is like really good evidence for you to look at. What kind of videos are you saving? And again, like you don't have to just think about it. Go to your folder, check your saved folder and see what kind of videos you have saved there. And again, all those same questions. And then this is also a really important one, and I think a really powerful thing to check on. What kind of accounts are you following? And you can go look at the most recent accounts you followed, or even more powerful, something I always do is when I click follow on an account, I always pause and I stop and I think like, what made me click follow? And was it like that their content was so good I had to follow them? Was it something about the way their bio was written that I really resonated with it? I actually try to screenshot the bio of everyone I follow from their Instagram bio page so I can kind of learn like what kind of formats get follows because like you have like such great evidence right under your nose that we often just ignore. So feel free to let me know in the chat if any of this resonates or if you guys feel like this is insightful or not helpful. But just things to consider when you're looking at all this, like look at the aesthetics of these videos. How was the video quality? What kind of fonts were being used? What were the length of the videos? How was the info presented? Why did you like it? And thanks, Laura, for saying it's helpful. And if all of this is failing, like you're already doing all this and you're still not finding that your content's succeeding, I would say like any professional, like just go seek actual support. Like if you feel like you have the reps in and you should be getting more views, I think at that point it makes sense to take some kind of course on social media or work with a mentor and just figure out like it's probably just small tweaks that you need to take. Okay. This is the end of that section, which is good. I was aiming for 30 minutes on that section. It was more one of the longer parts. Okay, we're going to talk, actually, before I continue, any questions on that section? And thank you for the kindness in the chat, guys. Okay. Awkward pauses. I don't know how to facilitate these yet. It's fine. Okay, we're going to talk Instagram or TikTok then. I feel like this is the question that comes up in a lot of like businesses or entrepreneur groups that I'm in. Like I see a lot of people debating on this. So as with everything that's in this presentation, take it with a grain of salt. This is my take. So you could say that in general, if you're not super familiar with social media, and if you are, you might already know these things. If I had to like summarize each platform in a couple of words, like Instagram is a more aesthetic platform. So a video with like higher quality, like aesthetic doesn't have to mean like pretty. It just has to mean like relatively high resolution video or like decent lighting. If you have content that is more aesthetic, like it's focused more on like the natural beauty of the outdoors, it might tend to do well on Instagram because it's more of a visual platform. In general, Instagram seems to be the place where people are more willing to read captions. So long captions tend to do really well on Instagram, not so much on TikTok at the moment. And then community tends to be more relevant for Instagram. And I'm going to get to the question here in a second. TikTok, if I had to put it in a couple of words, unfiltered authenticity is what people look for on TikTok. So like the weird thing about TikTok is that if you go on TikTok and you film a video from like the worst angle, like it's like you down here and it's in your car and you're driving and the lighting is crap and the video's shaking and it's 10 minutes, for some reason people will listen to the whole thing because TikTok is more of a platform where people are like, I'm sick of all the like put together crap and I want just like an authentic take on the world. And if you make someone feel like they're just there having a conversation with you, that tends to do better on TikTok. And also I wrote longer form content. So we're seeing this trend, I think, across all platforms. Like now Instagram is starting to say they're going to get longer form content. It's going to be pushed. Again, I wouldn't bother yourself too much with all these predictions. I would focus on the things I told you on the last slide. But those are just some general overviews, I would say. And the question for could short form also apply to TikTok? For sure. Like anything can apply anywhere at the end of the day. Like if you want to know if one type of video can do well, you can probably find an account that's doing just that type of video on that platform that has 100,000 followers or more. So that's why I really wrote like in general, these are some things that apply. Because there's like the but. It's like this is what I wanted to call out, and I pulled these stats up. Instagram has 2 billion monthly active users. TikTok has 1 billion monthly active users. And the actual bigger thing to note, guys, is that like 1 billion, 1 billion people on these apps, right? It's like either way, you can probably find your people. You don't have to worry so much about like picking the right one because either way, the people are there. And so it's less about like where your people are. It's more about you and your strategy. So you can, keep these things in mind, but note that really like the thing that's going to be best for you most likely is just choose the place that you naturally spend the most time. Like you're going to be able to create the best content in a place that you understand. And if you're trying to create for TikTok, but like you don't understand how TikTok works whatsoever, it's going to be challenging. I did write as the first point, like give each app a fair shot. So if you have never ever spent time on TikTok, like, yeah, maybe you should, for like research purposes, spend a few hours, time yourself, don't let yourself get caught in it, but like check out what TikTok's all about. See if you resonate with the style of format of videos there. But then like choose the place that feels natural. Like I debated this for so many months for my business and it was stupid because if I have to choose where I'm going on my phone, it's always Instagram. Like that is where I spend my time. And that's where I'm going to be able to use my own research of like looking at my own consumption patterns to create meaningful content. So I would like make it less complicated for yourself and just choose the place that you like tend to spend time because that's where you're going to be optimized to create good content. And then I say focus on one because each platform tends to favor slightly different types of content, which you'll pick up over time as you kind of study your own consumption patterns. But I wrote post to both, and I'm going to get to the chat in a second here. So focus on one and try to optimize your content for that one platform that's going to be your place of choice. I will call out that it doesn't hurt to then take the exact same video. It should take like 5 minutes to convert it to a file that can be shared to the other platform and then use the exact same caption and also post it, like cross post it. I wouldn't spend time on the other platform. It's like a quick post and done. And the reason I actually suggest doing that is because I have heard a number of stories where people are cross posting and suddenly they have one video like just completely jump off on the other platform that they weren't focusing on, and they'll get like 100,000 views or 1 million views, and they'll actually switch platforms because they realize they just found their audience in the other platform like unexpectedly. So this is a strategy I would recommend. And I'm going to start. Is it bad to post a video on TikTok and then post the same one to Insta, or is it better to make 2 separate videos each time? Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's kind of what I just addressed. So it's totally fine to use the same video, and I suggest that because if you're trying to focus on pleasing 2 different algorithms at the same time, it's going to be complicated. I think once you've got like a really good flow on one platform, then for sure try to figure out the other platform. But start by like learning one algorithm before you try to learn 2. But then the cross posting, all you need to do the cross post, you don't want to like, this is more of a nitty gritty and like, only if you actually care about, if you're past the point of like hitting your reps and everything, because at first it's just about reps. If you're starting to be more strategic about your content, you've got your mindset in place and you've got your consistency in place. I will tell you that if you download directly from one platform, so if you download from TikTok and then post the video with the TikTok branding onto Instagram, the Instagram algorithm doesn't necessarily like that because it can tell it came from TikTok. So it might punish you a little bit and you'll have fewer views. I shouldn't even use the word punish because again, it's not a person. The math equation will counter, it's going to minus 10 points because it's come from TikTok and they want you to use their app. So there's certain apps you can use, and I'm happy to send them later, that will like convert your content from one platform to the other in a way that like removes that like watermark. And the watermark even happens in the back end, like secretly, even if you don't see it on the screen. So that's just something to keep in mind. Yeah, they're in the chat. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. I think that is what I had for that. Thoughts, questions before we move on to the next section? Okay. Oh, I should read what I wrote here. Okay, so this next stuff, I'm going into some more practical tips. Obviously, this is like an hour and a bit presentation, so I'm not going to cover absolutely everything. And I wanted to address that these tips tend to be like more top of funnel tips. So I focus more on videos that can like get new eyes onto your page. But I will call out that still like having other style videos, for example, like a customer testimonial or a client testimonial, something like that is still valuable. I'm not saying don't keep posting the content you're posting, like especially depending on your business type or what kind of coach you are, what kind of business you happen to be. This is more like supplemental content that could potentially get new eyes on your existing content, or tips for that. Okay. So we're going to talk trending audio. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, for me, this has been like a huge game changer for getting more eyes on my stuff. It's kind of a cheat code in a way, but I'll call some things out to start. So trending audio will only help you on Instagram if your post has value in it. You can't just like throw trending audio on something that's not valuable and expect it to take it somewhere, because it won't. What trending audio can do is take a post that has value and give you an opportunity to be seen by a heck of a lot more people than if you didn't use trending audio. So if you're posting a lot of valuable things and you're getting frustrated because you're like, people aren't seeing it, using trending audio can be a really helpful tool to get you seen by more people. I want to call it that you can totally succeed without it. I see face to camera talking videos all the time that have no trending audio, that the person's just speaking in such a great way and talking about such a meaningful point that like the video still goes viral. So it's not like trending audio is the be all end all. It's just a tool that can possibly help. And yeah, don't rely on it for every post. It's more like use it here and there. Because obviously your purpose of every post also isn't like to go viral. I don't think going viral in general should be like a goal in and of itself. Like you almost want to go mini viral in the sense that you want to hit people in your audience with like a large number of views. I don't think hitting like 1 million views is actually that valuable, because then you're just hitting like a really big audience and a lot of those people probably don't want to buy your product or service anyway. But if you want to go like mini viral, like the best videos for me actually are the ones that hit like 20,000 views, because those are the posts that are like really hitting my target audience and getting me a lot of followers that might buy my services. And that's really what trending audio can help you to do. So that was a big ramble. This was my attempt at drawing a wave because I couldn't find a good image on Google. Sorry, it was kind of bad. So the way that trending audio works, guys, is it starts to pick up speed. And basically, if you want to benefit from this wave, you need to pick up trending audio like around here where my cursor is. So before a lot of people have used it, because then your video has a higher chance as like the audio picks up pace. Basically, you can like ride this wave to the top and your post just has a higher chance of being seen by people. If you're jumping on a trending audio, once it's already here at the peak or starting to go down, it doesn't really hurt anything. It's just you're not taking any of the benefit away. So the idea of this section of the training is to tell you how to like jump on this wave early. And I also want to call out that unfortunately, this ability to see trending audio is not available in every single country. And I'm hoping it does work for a lot of you who are on this training right now. But if it doesn't, there are a couple workarounds, such as just following accounts that tend to use trending audio and then using their recent videos to dictate which audios you use. So something like that is a workaround if you don't have access to this. But the idea with trending audio, so when you are on your Reels page, so as you can kind of see in this image here, in the bottom corner of every song, I always see like, or at least if you have access to this, you will see symbols here. So it's either going to be like a music note, which tells you that it's just a regular audio, it's not trending or anything, or there's this up symbol, which tells you it is trending. So if something is trending, you can click on the song and then it takes you to this page that you're seeing over here. So it's telling you like what the song is. It shows you other people that have used the trending audio. But the really important piece of information here is how many reels have already been created with this audio. So this one you can see has been used 55.5 thousand times. So when it comes to the wave, 50,000, you're already kind of towards the top of the wave. The truth is that if you want to catch an audio early, you have to look for audios that have like under 10,000 uses. But to be honest, if you really want to take advantage, like any video for me that's really popped off because of trending audio, it's like it's been at around 2,000 uses or 3,000 uses. Okay, but so you have to look for them that have 2,000 or 3,000 uses. Here is the hack. Here is how I find these really quickly. And I want to call out that it's possible that you'll need a second Instagram account to do this, depending on how you're scrolling with your current account. But basically, I have trained my algorithm on my business account, Solo Travel School, to feed me trending audios. And the way I've done this, and I didn't really make a slide for this, but basically, when I'm scrolling on my phone, I don't scroll for pleasure on that account. I don't just like consume content randomly. I consume it specifically with this purpose in mind, this business purpose, in terms of I just look to a reel. If I haven't heard the song before, so AKA it might be like new and it has a little arrow, I click this button, I see how many reels have been created with it. And if I see, so when you start this yourself, you're probably going to find that a lot of them have a high number because you haven't trained your algorithm yet. But what you want to do is that if you see one that has a low number of uses, you want to show the algorithm like, hey, I want more of this. I want new trending audios on my page. So if you see one here that says like 1,000 or 3,000, like good, you've hit the jackpot. Even if you don't like that particular song, what you want to do then is go into a couple of these videos that are using that song and like them or comment on them and show Instagram, like, I want more early trending audio. And so if you start doing this for like about a week, so you might have to do it for like 10 minutes a day as you're getting started. Now my app is like programmed like this. If I go to my Reels page, I am constantly being fed new trending audios that have like 1,000 or 2,000 uses. Because I just train the algorithm, like anything that had like any common song that I've heard a bunch of times, I scroll past it as fast as possible. And anything that sounds new that has a little upward arrow, I click, I engage for a little bit, and it's done. So again, this takes like a little bit of upfront effort, but once it's done, that means that if I'm creating a post for Instagram, I just go to my Reels page and like within literally 2 minutes, I've probably found a song that will work because it's basically feeding me not straight, but like every 2 or 3 posts is going to be like a new trending audio. And I, again, don't like, again, your post has to have value and everything, but I try to like, what's my topic? How am I going to add value? And then let me like supplement that by using a trending audio. And that's like my goldmine decision for how I'm creating these well-performing posts. So Laura, I'm glad this is helping. So I'm now going to go into a couple of ideas that can help you leverage this trending audio to get views on your account. And again, these are not the only ways to do this. You don't have to rely on this. Some accounts have had tons of growth without trending audio, so you don't have to do this. It's just an option that might support you. Okay, so real type number 1 is using a strong hook and beat drop, working off the natural building of anticipation. You guys will have to tell me if my audio works when I show you these, but I'm going to show you like my version of doing this, and then we're going to quickly talk about it.
Tonight is the night. All right, okay. All right, this is the moment. Tonight is the night. All right.
Can you guys? Okay, that was working. Perfect. So the idea with this type of post, this is something you can replicate on your own account into like literally any niche. The idea is at first you find an audio that kind of has like a natural drop. Like it's like you have this like almost anticipation building in the music, and then it goes boom and it hits you with like a this is where the information clearly is going to come in. And it's really easy to create these posts. Like the background videos don't really matter. All that matters is you're going to put some words in the screen that are a strong hook. So in this case, digital nomads aren't going to want to hear this, and it's like something that makes people lean in and kind of, they want to stick around to hear what you have to say. Plus, naturally, they're going to stick around because they hear that audio building up. So just like human inclination is to want to wait for the beat drop and hear what information is going to come next.
Okay. All right.
And then you have the value or the piece of content right there on the video. There are some videos that do this that say like, read the caption. My recommendation is like definitely put information and valuable context in your caption, but like give people a bit of value right on the screen as well to help build trust and rapport with them, because you've got them to wait around. So give them something for waiting around, like deliver the value that you were setting out to. And I'll also mention, just like as a side note, like I do believe like mindset and the things I covered in the beginning of this presentation are more important. Like using hooks and things like strategic things like this, I think it comes second to first having the consistency and the positive mindset around social media. Yeah, Laura saying it drives her crazy when people put the hook in the video, but like not the value. I agree. Okay, so a couple hook ideas. Like you can steal the one I just used. Like anyone isn't going to want to hear this, but so someone that applies to you, like who's your target audience, throw that in the blank. This one mistake is costing, the person that you're speaking to something they don't want to lose, something that's going to make them want to stick around. And then of course, deliver on it. Like we're not just trying to pull these tactics to get views and then not deliver. Like the way you build trust with your audience is of course to deliver the thing that you're promising. So you can do this with any song that has a beat drop, but if it has it's trending as well, then you've got like double the chances of this post being seen by a lot of people. And then also make sure you're brainstorming how to make your hooks stronger. So just to give you the example there, like 3 things to look for when buying a new home. Like, are you going to stick around to see what that is? Like, maybe, I don't know. It doesn't like catch me as much as something like 3 rookie mistakes to avoid when buying a new home. Like, then you're kind of like, I want to know what the rookie mistakes are so I don't make them, right? So then you stick around to see what the next page has. So it is worth thinking of like some stronger hooks here. And you can also take content that you've already created and like look at your past posts and see where you've delivered something of value and just figure out, can I use like the exact same caption I wrote in the past and just like deliver it in a new way, which is a totally legitimate way of using this. Okay. Real type number 2 that can work really well. So hot take plus looping audio. So basically you want to deliver an interesting message, like, and I say hot take, like, something that's going to grab people and like make them want to read and be like, oh, that's an interesting opinion. Like, I haven't heard that one before. Or, that's a little controversial. I'll speak to that in a second. First, I'll show you the actual example here. So I will just play.
Live out of cars and bars, let's lay in the dead grass, stare at the stars, run away. You live out of cars and bars, let's lay.
Okay. I'm going to call out that this is not even that controversial, and it could be spicier, but this post still did relatively well. It wasn't just like the general opinion of everyone. So I'm writing here, once you start to realize travel is about quality and not quantity, your journey becomes richer. Stop racing and think of the kind of, whatever. Doesn't really matter exactly what I wrote. The idea is that, I'm stating like a bit of a hot take, like an opinion on something. Like I'm actually giving my opinion versus just writing something that, everyone would agree with. And then another really key thing I'm doing here that's going to get me views is that you'll notice that the audio played and then it started to replay because you couldn't finish reading all of this in the time that the video played. So the key here is that someone's going to have to watch your video 2 or 3 times to finish reading all of this information. And that's telling the algorithm again, like, oh, this video must be good. Someone watched it 3 times. And then your video is going to get fed to more people. So a couple things to add on this. And Gisela, this is where your video came in. So an amazing mentor friend of mine, Sophia, something she taught me in a session: be like a magnet. To attract the right people, you have to be willing to repel the wrong ones. So that's why I say like use a hot take. Like if you want to find your audience, your people, like be willing to be a bit spicy. That's how you're going to find the right ones. And it does require you to build up that capacity to possibly be disliked or get a couple of mean comments, but it's also how you are going to like build your community. Like your people are going to want to hear what you have to say. And then Gisela, for your video here, this was like a great one. Maybe I did not pull it up. I believe I linked it. Gisela did this awesome video today, guys, about basically, you can see also, I love how you have the hook at the top. So well done with that. About how harmful it can be to be posting about how cheap your travels are and saying, oh yeah, I got all this for only $5, and not realizing that there's people in that country you're speaking about who are living off of that same $5 for literally 2 weeks. She says it a lot more eloquently than I do, and this is something I'm really dedicated to still informing myself more about. But I felt like this was like Gisela, a really good example of like a hot take that, in addition to this like amazing and informative video that you put here, you could take like the main core ideas from this kind of video, which I think it was about 2 minutes long. You could figure out like what's the core summary, like what's the core takeaway, and you could loop it into a video just like this. And it's actually fine to have them like side by side on your profile as well. Because people might find you through this video and then they're going to get to hear your more in-depth opinion using your other video. So you would summarize what you wrote in that bigger video into 2 or 3 sentences. Ideally find a trending audio, only let it play for 4 or 5 seconds. And I truly believe that's like viral potential because it was such a meaningful point and something that I think would spark a lot of really good, meaningful conversation. Okay, questions, thoughts? Okay, good. I'm glad it makes sense. She's going to implement it. Awesome. Okay. Here is idea number 3 that you can easily implement. Tell your story or that of your business. and ideally try to make sure the video has you or people in it. These kind of videos are done a lot, but they always tend to do well. And I think it's because everyone loves to know like the people behind an account or get to know more about you. Like in a world that we're fed so much inauthenticity, like commercials and this and that, like everything is inauthentic. So when they have a chance to like really hear you and your story and see a person, I think people automatically connect more with that. So this is a really simple video that like anyone could do. And all you're going to do is, and I'll actually just show you mine. Let's see, or maybe I did not link this one. No, perhaps I did not. Or maybe I did. Okay, I did.
And the day is almost through. Oh, the whole world, it is sleeping when the evening pulls the sun down. And the day is on.
Okay, so you get the point. I'm going to call it as well. You do not have to like dance or do the cute little poses. Like if that's not your thing, that you don't have to do that for this type of video to succeed. This can be footage of you doing anything that you naturally do. And you can even ask someone to record you doing like a task that you typically do for your business. You want to show like your natural personality. You don't want to try to be something you're not. Like this captures how I naturally am. If you know me in person, like I would do these little shruggy things. I'm a little bit awkward and funny like that. And so it's showing my authenticity. You don't have to do this for this type of video to succeed. It's like you and your natural element is what will do best. And then the idea for the text on the screen is like, be a bit vulnerable, like tell your story, or what's the story of how, like if you're more of a business and less of an independent brand, like how did the business come to form? And I love the fact that like, look at how many words Instagram lets you put here, like not many. So it forces you to like summarize things down, and you have to think of like the strongest, most compelling points to tell about your story. This type of video typically does really well. And then the same idea as the last one, you want to make sure that the length of the video doesn't allow someone to read the whole thing. So if they do read the whole thing, that means they had to have watched the video 2 or 3 times, which again is going to indicate, oh, that's a good video, send it to more people, and you're going to get more views on that as well. So really easy thing to implement, not super easy, but relatively easy to like, not only I think get views on this one, but to connect with your audience on a deeper level. And this often can be a great video to like even pin at the top of your profile so people can get to know your story or the story of your brand. Okay. We're doing relatively well for time, guys. Before I skip this section, questions, thoughts? I'm going to take that as a we're good. Okay. We're going to talk filming face to camera talking videos relatively quickly here. This was a big thing for me last year, actually, before I even go into it. Like, I think the ability to like hold up a camera and be able to speak to a camera and tell your story, it's a really valuable skill. Like it's always been a valuable skill to have, but like never more so than now. Like if you can tell your story or give your thoughts or share a vision or share an idea on camera, like that means you have the opportunity to influence millions of people. Like I think there's few skills as valuable as that. And if you can master that skill, you can do almost anything in the world. So I'm not sure if this is something that you all have a goal of being able to learn how to do, but I think like it's something that everyone should at least, not everyone, but I don't know. I think there's a lot of value in aspiring to want to do this, especially if you have like things in your heart that you want to get out there. I will just leave it at that. You know, not everyone has their own path. It's not like a must. I think for at least for me and my goals in my life, this has a lot of value. And so the bad news for this is that there's no magic bullet. There's not like one thing you can do to suddenly like build the confidence to do face to camera talking videos, but there is a guaranteed way to get better. And this is kind of relating to the theme of the whole presentation, but like it's practice. It's straight practice. And I wanted to tell you the actual story of how I started doing these. So prior to last summer, I'd done a couple like face to camera talking videos, but I had like pre-scripted them. Like I had written down what I was going to say, and then I would record a section, then I would look at my script again, and then I would record the next section, and then I would take all this time editing them, and they turned out fine. But it wasn't really like serving what I wanted. And I was working with an amazing coach, Odetta, and I had told her like, this is something I want to get better at. And so what she actually made me do in that moment was we were like literally on video call on camera, and she made me pull my phone out and like film my first video without prepping. She's like, no, do it now. And like, guys, my heart was like racing. I was like, I can't do this. I don't know what to say. And she like with like so much like loving, but also like, I'm not sure what the words I'm looking for are. It was like, she enforced it in a really loving way and was like, you're doing this now. And that is how I got over like my first hump of creating this very first video, where I just like spoke to my camera without having anything planned. And I wanted to get better at this. And so this is something that anyone could implement if you're watching this and you want to get better at this too. So then her and I discussed this challenge that I was going to do. So basically, I created like a TikTok, and I started posting to the TikTok every day, to let go of perfectionism. And to like allow myself to do this in a way that felt safe, I literally created these videos. And the first thing I would say is like, hey everyone, like I'm creating this video without a script, so I might mess up or stumble on my words because I haven't practiced anything, but I want to get better at speaking off the cuff. So here's my video. And then I would just speak for a few minutes and then I would post it. Posting it is a really important part because again, I'm not going to go all the way back to that chart, but that chart that showed like how much you learned by like reading about it or thinking about doing it or like practicing it behind the scenes versus the amount you learn when you actually like allow your work to hit reality and you actually click post and you see the feeling in your body when you post something that feels cringy and awkward and you don't know what people are going to think about it. And maybe someone from high school is going to see it and judge you or something. Like huge difference. And like truly, you just have to start. Like there's no other way to do this. And I can't tell you what a difference I've seen. Like you can go check my TikTok. So I did my challenge just for 7 days and then I started doing it here and there. But even like the difference from like day 1 to day 7, you notice a huge difference in my confidence. And like I couldn't believe it. Like this summer I've gone to do these videos and now I just don't really care. I don't know. I just start talking and it seems natural. And last year it was the opposite. It was like I felt like so cringy, so awkward, judging myself so hard. And it was just like my body just had to get used to it. Like it was just something that I hadn't done before and I had to get comfortable with it and it just took time. So it's really the same for you. And if you can set yourself up with like a similar challenge where you create like maybe even a new TikTok account for this, if you just want to practice and you don't think it's like professional to have this on a business account, then just create like a side account that's just meant for this, for you to practice using your voice. And I wrote Instagram lives here. Like the same thing happened for me on Instagram lives. The first couple I did, like my heart was like beating out of my chest. And I had to recognize like my body's just trying to keep me safe. It's just something unfamiliar. I don't, my body doesn't realize that I'm not going to get eaten by a bear. It's the old part of our brain. And after a couple, it just became super natural and chill. Like it just takes time. It just takes practice. You will get there. Yeah, I like what you're saying here too, Laura. It's like practice. Sorry, I'm going to read what you wrote. You could potentially leverage feelings of failure before your account takes off to practice. Wow, it's a good thing I don't have a ton of followers yet because I'm still clunky. Yeah, totally. I still feel that way about like my personal accounts where I post some of these things. It's like it's fun to like not have the goal of getting views and followers and just have the goal of practicing. I think it's like it creates like a better relationship with social media in general where you're less focused on numbers. Definitely agree with what you wrote there. Okay. When editing, consider your end goal. What I meant by this, and I'm gonna be done relatively soon, guys. If your goal in the end is to be able to like deliver speeches on a stage or speak without having, a software edit out your pauses, then practice that way. It doesn't make sense to, unless like you have a very specific business purpose for which you're doing it. But if your goal is to be able to speak naturally and speak on stages or speak on a podcast or something like that, where you don't have the ability to go edit your ums and ahs and pauses, post in the same way that you'd want to post in the future. So if like your goal that you're trying to get better at is like to edit videos and to like take out the pauses, then sure, take out the pauses and post like that. But if your goal is just to get better at speaking in general, then I would encourage you not to edit out the pauses and just post as is. Because then that's what you'll get better at. You'll get better at the thing that you practice. And then start with quantity. And then same as before, it's like I said, like it's having a positive mindset, having the consistency. And then once those two things are in place, then you start to think about strategy. So when you're thinking about strategy on these face to camera talking videos, like I would say, keep the whole video natural and off the cuff, except for maybe in the very beginning, start to think about a hook. So before you start this video, consider like, what's one thing I could say that would like grab my viewers' attention, make them want to listen. And then turn your camera on, say the one line that you planned, and then let the rest just flow authentically. Also, once you've hit a lot of quantity, also start to think about like the presentation of, again, take a study at the kinds of videos that you're consuming a lot of and think about what platform you're on. I often find the videos that are someone talking on Instagram, they tend to be a bit more aesthetic. Like those are the ones that I tend to consume. And when I say aesthetic, again, I don't mean like pretty. I just mean that like the lighting is decent. The person's like semi put themselves together. Like maybe they have like a colorful shirt on that catches my eye, or like a nice plant in the background. So once you've hit a lot of quantity and once you have that hook in place, then maybe start to think like, okay, how can I improve my presentation a little bit? And on TikTok, it might be the opposite. You might need to try to make yourself look more chill, because again, authenticity is what sells on TikTok. And then the last thing is like, you might want to practice speaking more concisely once all these other things are in place. But it's like you're taking it step by step by step. And I am still in the point where like, I'm really just focused on quantity right now. I can't give you the advice for having these like incredible, well-spoken videos because I'm not there yet. I'm just trying to put out like the highest quantity possible to get better at it. Okay. I actually did better with timing than I expected, guys. That I put this for like an hour and a half just in case. I do have a couple other like practical tips, but because I wanted to also make sure I didn't keep people too long, that's like the official end in terms of we've covered what was in the agenda. So thank you so much for being here. Like it really means so much to me that you took the time to do this with me live. Like I don't know, being an entrepreneur is quite the journey, as I think many of you on this call know. So like people who support you, it just means the world. Laura wants the bonus tips. You'll get them, don't worry. I also wanted to call out in terms of if you found this valuable, I would really appreciate if you by chance know probably a woman, but it could be anyone. I'm not eliminating this by gender. Someone who might want to learn how to solo travel. Some of you might know this, some of you might not, but I run a business called Solo Travel School, and I have a program called 6 Weeks to Sayonara that teaches people the A to Z of how to plan their first solo trip. And Laura's actually in the program, so thank you for being here and double supporting me with my businesses. If you found this presentation helpful and you want to like pay it forward or whatnot, I would really appreciate, I have a training coming out. It's like a free training on how to safely travel as a solo traveler. And if you wouldn't mind like sharing that with someone you know who might benefit from it, that would mean the world to me. And then also, if you found this bootcamp valuable, I'm going to put out the recording option for people. So if you wouldn't mind sharing that with someone you think might find it valuable, I would also really appreciate that. I'm eventually going to consider, like, I did have a lot of fun putting together this presentation, and a purpose for me was deciding, like, do I want to offer potentially like one-on-one social media mentorship, like helping people, not so much, I don't know, not like I want to help like more so like beginners, like people who are where I was a year ago kind of thing. So thank you for letting me experiment on you. That's honestly the kindest thing you could have done. But if you know someone who might benefit from something like that, or you want to share this training, that would be great. I'm glad you found it valuable. Thank you, Gisela. Okay. And then the last section. So if anyone has to pop off now, no worries at all. Thank you so much for coming. I did throw in a couple more just like final practical tips. If you guys want to stay, I think maybe some of you will. We'll see. Okay. Again, these things are like less important if you haven't hit the mindset and the consistency, but I'm just going to throw them out there anyway, just because I promised this training was going to give you everything I've got. So when we're talking about Instagram bios, and Matt, are you still in the call? Because this is where I'm pulling up your profile file. This is a really common mistake that I see made, and it's a really easy one to fix. Matt is on the call. Okay. So guys, you can check your own profiles and see if you're doing this. And I actually think a number of you are. I did check out some profiles before this training. So like think about how Instagram's working, and we're spending all this time and energy trying to get someone to come to our profile and then like ideally click follow, right? Like that's kind of the goal when we're creating reels like we were talking about earlier in this training that are meant to hit like more eyes, or if we're bothering with trending audio, like the goal of this is to get them to follow. I don't think the goal in the beginning is to get them to like buy a product. I think a lot of times people or a service or whatnot, like they need to get to know you. So really like what we are trying to do is get them onto your profile and then to click the follow button. And now what I want to tell you and show you is that if you are spending all this time, energy, money getting people over to your profile, what you have around here is very important because it's going to like determine whether or not someone does take that action and follow you. And what a lot of people have, there's two common mistakes going on here. So the first is actually, Matt, you have maybe not all of them, but and also this is your personal, so I'm not sure if yeah, no, whatever, fine. I'm not sure if this is like the one that you're trying to grow or not. Maybe it's your Match Realty one that you want to grow more. But regardless, allow me to use you as an example kindly. I asked for permission for this, guys, before I did it. Okay, so if you make it to this profile, we see this threads banner is here. And if you click this, it's taking you over to a different page. And like if our whole goal on Instagram is to get people to follow and you're suddenly distracting them from following and sending them somewhere else where they're going to get pulled into reading stuff over here and then they might, you know, click a link and then and like at least Matt does have some like valuable things on this page. A lot of people have this threads banner and then it's just leading to an empty threads page where there's actually nothing there. So it's like you spend all this time and effort to get them onto your Instagram page. Guys, just remove this. Unless your goal of your Instagram is to get people to follow you on threads, then don't put this here so that people don't get like pulled away into something else. And we're trying to do everything we can to get them to click follow or potentially to click the link. That's also like another action you might want someone to take. Same idea goes with tagging other accounts or with hashtags. And I specifically wanted to pull up this like find your match because I do love this slogan for Match Realty, which is Matt's business for those who are watching this. But the thing is, if someone found their way to your profile and you have this hashtag find your match, then suddenly they might find themselves on this page, which is like a bunch of content that is not related to you. So again, you've spent all this time, energy, potentially money, getting them so close to either clicking this link where they might go buy something or want to work with you, or clicking at least follow. And then suddenly we're sending them on this other goose chase to go look at this, you know, probably dating advice because the hashtag is find your match. So my advice is simply like, don't have anything clickable in this area aside from the things that you really strategically want someone to click. And people can disagree with me here. Matt, how are you feeling about this? Sorry for tearing you apart. Not really, but do you agree or do you feel this? I will wait for a second. But yes, so just so you guys know, from a strategic standpoint, you can simply there's like a setting in Instagram, like show the threads banner or don't show the threads banner. Matt's deleting his bio. Sorry, I should have started with the thing where I talk about positives. There's lots of good things about it too. I didn't call those out to start. So just click the option on Instagram that says like, don't show threads banner. I would remove hashtags. You can still have the words, like you can still have Matt and yours, like find your match, just don't hashtag it. And also don't link other accounts unless the purpose of that account is to get someone to follow to the other accounts. So like you will see on my Light of Ari account, I actually do have my business accounts tagged because if someone finds me Light of Ari, I actually would love for them to go visit my business accounts. So that's why I have that, but do it only if it's a strategic thing. Okay, next practical random tip. Tell people to comment, DM, or like your comment rather than visiting a link in your bio. So this is basically if you're offering something, this applies a lot to like coaches or businesses often. But if you're saying like, do you want my free safety training? Rather than saying like, go to the link in my bio to find it, instead just tell people like comment this word and I'll send it to you. Because then suddenly you're kind of building up comments on the post and that will again, anything that shows Instagram like this post is valuable will allow it to be seen by more people. So if people are saving it or sharing it or liking it or sharing it to their stories, or they're seeing it and they're following you, like all those things are going to increase your views. So if you can use your like call to action to tell people to do something that will boost the algorithm, that's ideal. So telling them to like comment is great. Telling them to DM you is great as well. If new people are DMing your account, then you're having conversations. Those people are then going to be more likely to see your story. So conversations are really valuable as well. And then also something I sometimes do is like, I'll write a comment on my own post that says like this comment if you want me to send you the free training. And again, I'll find that gets more engagement than like asking someone to go all the way to my bio and click. And it doesn't mean you can't have like multiple options for people too, but this is just like a little an easy hack. Another random tip. Yeah, these are all over the place, guys. This is like the random part of this training. I'm not even sure if this is going to go in the recording. You have 3 places to hook people. Use them wisely. What I wanted to call out there, if I can go back to one of my posts. So for these posts, again, this does not apply to every single post, but for the ones that you are trying to use hooks and trying to get new eyes on your content, keep in mind that you have 3 opportunities to get people to look at your post. So you have a hook that basically goes on your cover photo. And sometimes people are just viewing the cover photo, so it doesn't always have to be the same one that's on the video. I often just leverage both. Oftentimes, like, do as I say, not as I do. Like, I don't follow all of my own strategies perfectly, and I will be the first person to call that out. But if you can put like a strong hook on the video that makes someone want to click in and see it, so that's like here, which on your phone, it's easier to read these from farther away versus on my computer. Then also on the video, like you want text here with a hook. And this also applies if you're just like speaking. If you're doing like a face to camera talking video, make sure in addition to captions, like put a little bubble at the top of your head that's like tells people what this video is going to be about. So again, that if they're scrolling, you can try to stop them and hook them in. And then the last place you have for a hook, guys, is like the very first sentence here that shows before people click see more on their phones. So you can see like I wrote here, and we bet you haven't heard this one. I don't think it's like the strongest hook in the world, but my idea was like trying to get people curious enough to want to click, right? So those are like 3 different places that you can be leveraging hooks. And I think I have, okay, a few more things. So if you use, and shout out to Brian for this tip, the Swift Key app on your phone, you can save certain like text messages so that you can just easily like paste them again and again and again. You can also just use your notes app for this. You don't have to use this app. Something I'd recommend you do is have like a closer that you add to every post that basically says like, for more on whatever you tend to post about, follow me, tag your account. And then also add like 4, 5, 6 relevant hashtags to the stuff you tend to post about. And then I would just throw that on the end of every single caption. I don't think it's going to hurt. If people go to the end of your caption, you might as well remind them, oh yeah, this is the person who created the post and I should follow them. No one's going to be like offended by you adding that in. And it's just like a really nice habit to have that takes about 5 seconds, and fully admit that I don't always do this and I should. I'm not going to get into like hashtag strategy. I don't believe in spending a lot of time on it until, again, maybe you're at like a couple thousand followers and then you're trying to get more strategic. I think for a lot of people who are beginning with their accounts, and I still consider myself a beginner, like worrying too much about hashtags is silly. Just like give a couple to let the algorithm have an idea on what your content's about. And then always like your own post and always comment on your own post first. So that section, or those things are basically like, no one wants to be the very first person to like something, and no one wants to be the first person to comment. So just like create like a little warm up for people, allow them to see like, okay, here's a conversation. It's already started. I don't feel awkward being the first one. Yeah, so those are just like some other quick, easy hit tidbits. And yeah, that is officially the end. I have no more slides. So if anyone has questions, I'm not sure if you guys want the recording continuing for the questions, or if you want to ask a question off recording, I'm also happy to stop it. Or maybe we're just done. No problem, Laura. I'm glad it was helpful. Okay. I think mostly people are jumping off. So thank you so much for the time again, guys. It means a lot as I am sorting out entrepreneur life. And thank you for the kind comments. But yeah, feel free to jump off if you found it helpful. Feel free to stay on if you want to ask a question or chat about anything. I'm going to stop the recording as well.